Hello and welcome to yet another beautiful and informative episode with Trisha. We are so thankful that you have covered ZAT so much in detail with a difference to CAT and how both the programs of XLRI, PGDBM, General Management and HRM is so different. Thank you for sharing all the details, Trisha. You were very insightful and I would appreciate your openness to share it with the youth of our country. So today we would
Thank
like
you.
Trisha to welcome her to share her experience over the curriculum. And yes, there are a couple of queries for us to cover the placement overview broadly, what XLRI offers to students. So we welcome you again, Trisha, and we are again thankful for sharing your knowledge, your experience, your preparation so well on our channel. So over to you, whatever you want to share for XLRI curriculum, exam pattern, and student always wanted
Sure.
to know our exams are simple or difficult, and definitely the placements today. Over to you, please.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Thank you so much for having me back again and for that warm welcome. I'll begin by first talking about the curriculum at Excel. So I'll be only talking about the HR curriculum at XLRI because I do not know much about the business management curriculum.
Sure.
Um, so we have it's a 2-year program, full-time PGDM, and the 2 years are split into 6 semesters, 3 semesters in 1 year and 3 semesters in the other year. So, I would describe it like so there are some subjects that are foundation subjects that get repeated across every semester at different levels. For example, organizational behavior that we call OB, and
Okay.
law that we call industrial relations, employment relations, and foundations of HRM and strategy courses. These courses keep repeating in every sem, like OB1, OB2, OB3, those kind of subjects, and then they appear in different forms in your second year as well. So these subjects, I guess, are like, non-negotiables to be a part of the HR curriculum. And there are some subjects that are one-off subjects, as in they're only there for one semester. They don't keep repeating. Some examples are managerial ethics, sustainability, quantitative techniques. Those kind of things are only for one semester each. So that is the overall pattern. And so first year, the course and the syllabus is the same for everybody in the HR batch, which is of 180 students. Then in the second year, we get to pick electives. So electives, so the only criteria we're given is that you need to meet a certain number of credits. So each subject has a certain number of credits associated with it. Usually a subject has around 3 credits with it. If a subject is slightly a shorter course or easier to complete, it's 1.5 credits. Or some subjects are slightly heavier to complete and they require more number of sessions and hours. Those are 4.5 credits. They usually range from 1.5 to 4.5 credits. So we are just given a criteria that you have to meet these many number of HR credits, and you can pick and do your permutation combination, and they'll tell you what is available in each term. Term 4 May, this is what is available. Term 5 May, this is available. Term 6 May, this is available. So you choose what subjects you want to study as long as you're meeting the HR criteria. We're also allowed to choose electives that are a part of the BM course. For example, I did a marketing elective that it doesn't come under the code of an HR subject. But if you're interested, you can always do it. A lot of people did game theory, economics, finance, a lot of things that are not necessarily under the HR ambit. But you can do that as long as your minimum number of credits of the HR category are being met. That is what we do. There's also an option that we have in the second year. Like, let's say I have chosen all my courses and credits, and I still have an interest in another subject, and my number of credits has already been filled. Then you can also pay extra and sit for another extra course if you're that keen on it. And some cases, people are keen on it, but they don't really want to go through the exam and the whole process and attendance and everything. So you're allowed to audit a course as well. If you're just interested in it and you want to listen to particular parts of the course, particular classes the professor is covering such things, you can just go and audit the course. You have to, of course, email the professor in advance and get permission from them and the dean. But after that, in the second year, let's say I have interest in tax also, but I do not want to take it as a subject and give an exam on it. I can go for particular sessions of the class to see what is happening. So that is basically how the curriculum is overall.
I think that is a
Exam
very unique feature of
sorry.
XLRI, that even if you don't have that subject, you go and sit in those classes for your own understanding and knowledge. That is very
Yes.
beautiful, very nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so then our exam pattern, we have, of course, we have end term exams every term. And in the middle of the term, some of them have midterms, some subjects don't have midterms. So the subjects that have midterms usually have midterm, end term. These are the two main exams, and they have small quizzes in between or projects in between. Some professors don't want a midterm; they only want an end term, so they keep giving you quizzes throughout, like 3 to 4 quizzes throughout. Or some professors have only given you projects till the end. Some subjects in the second year and all, they didn't even have exams. From the beginning to end, there are individual projects and group projects. So a lot varies on the course, the professor, what kind of ideology they have, whether they think their course is like it's more important for their course to be interactive, then they give more group projects. If they're just testing your pure knowledge, for example, quantitative techniques and all, there is no point in being a group course. They have to check whether you have understood the concepts and how to apply all of that. So then
Okay.
those will be individual exams throughout. So
Okay.
that is what it is. Yeah, that is the overall
Okay.
summary.
As a learner myself, I would be very keen to know that when XLRI is offering a core hardcore HRM, what difference, because now you have completed the course, what difference you felt after doing that course? I'm talking about the intensity and the
Hmm.
in-depth coverage of HRM as a whole when you have moved to industry already.
Okay. Um, so intensity wise, I would definitely say that the first term of XLRI is pretty hectic for most people. There are multiple reasons. One would be first, it's a transition. Everybody's first term in a B school. They don't know what is to come. Second reason is the summer internship placements are around the corner. And the third reason is the maximum number of subjects. So each term has a number of subjects. Maximum number of subjects are packed into the term one. So first term of HR, I remember we had 9 subjects, whereas second year's first term we had only 4 subjects. So that is a difference. So that is also like definitely, and the reason is they cover everything ranging from like sustainability to ethics to like macroeconomics, microeconomics. We have operations. So another concept that I really appreciate about XLRI's HR course is that they don't teach you only HR subjects, thinking that, because that is the field you're going into, you only need to know that. They've always been very clear that it doesn't matter if you're going to HR. 1 year, you have to learn accounts, you have to learn finance, you have to learn operations, you have to learn economics. Because ultimately, let's say tomorrow, if one of us becomes CHRO and we're sitting on a table with a board of directors, we cannot sit there and say and not have a say in finance or a strategy saying that no, we only know HR, that is only our purview. Because ultimately, HR's decisions, a lot of the organization's decisions about human resource and how to handle its talent is based off the business strategy. So if you do not understand the business strategy of the organization, how are you going to handle headcount or talent or performance accordingly? So that is why I think what I appreciate is the first year we did, like I'm sure, like for example, some of the courses like finance or quantitative techniques, we did not go as in depth as maybe the business management students went. Let's say if they went to a depth of 100, we went to a depth of maybe 65, 70. But we still did that because they were very particular that yes, like so the second year is meant for our niche subjects. So they're like 1 year you've done everything. Now it's up to you to decide what you require to do whatever you want. Now, I like subjects about, regarding learning and development and organizational behavior. So most of my electives I picked around those subjects in the second year. But yeah, I think that is a very nice and good thought process to have.
Sure. Since HR has a big gamut of functions within itself, like L&D, talent management, compensation, compliance, OB,
Yeah.
culture, employee engagement. By any chance, in the second year, were you able to decide in your mind that, okay, this is the HR function I want to move into going forward?
No, so there is no such thing like that. There's no option available. Like it, I think it is all like depending on your preference or leaning. For example, let's say a student in mind has that, they want to get into, let's say, only L&D, or a
Okay.
student wants to get into only compensation and benefits, then I guess pick maximum electives that are aligned to that. There
Okay.
is no option where we can tell the college ki hame ye karna hai,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
hence, it's not like
Pick a
that. You can,
focus.
if you
Hmm.
want to do that personally, you can pick all the courses that are more aligned towards that. Nobody will stop you.
Sure.
But there is no specialization discussion as such that happens.
Sure. And all exams were pen and paper?
All exams were pen and paper. The quantitative techniques one was on the computer because it involved a software called R. It's a
Okay.
coding software.
Okay.
So that was on the laptop. And I think There's another subject called SRM. That is basically, it uses
Statistics.
SPSS, another, yeah, the statistical software. So that was also on your laptop. The rest was all pen and paper.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
the exams were pretty okay. I'm sure you have been a very studious student since beginning. Now we also know that. So, I'm very curious to know that internships and placement is a very important part, and especially doing a course from XLRI, student must be having expectations. Even when you went to XLRI, you must be thinking that, XLRI Jamshedpur, such a big institution, flagship campus. What was your, experience in regard to internship and experience, the final placements?
Okay. So I think so while yes, I did obviously have expectations and some amount of excitement to for it, I did not really know about the kind of process, back-end process or work that is needed to be done for these placements. So I remember first term, everybody's so the minute you enter, we have a lot of placements. So apart from the placement committee, and yeah, another one unique thing I'd like to point out about XLRI's campus is it's completely student run. From the student council to the placement committee, there are no faculty members involved at any level. Our placement committee's chairman is a faculty member, but that is it. There is nothing, no other involvement of faculty in any of our processes across the college. So there is, of course, the placement committee that exists to handle the basic placement operations. Apart from that, we also have placement support committees, several of them. One of them helps you work on your CV. From the time you enter college, you are mapped to a mentor, a CV mentor who is in the senior batch. And you keep on having sessions with them. They keep on trying to make you frame your CV points as well as you can. Ask you what kind of organization do you aspire to be. If you want to get into consulting, then your academic achievements have to be really outstanding. If you want another role, then your positions of responsibility also have to be outstanding. So those kind of things they help you sort through. Then we also, and during the placement season, the about let's say the 10 days leading to the placement process, we have further placement support committees that give us food and water right to our doorstep in our rooms. Because let's say I am sitting through 10 interviews in one day, I don't have time to get out and rush to the mess to eat my food. So they even take care of you in that sense. Then we also have yeah, a whole buddy system, all of that. So there's a whole framework or a system in place. Now, when it comes to placements as such, yeah, the most important thing for anybody, especially especially for the summer internship placement, would be to build your CV. And I think this is a process that it becomes much easier for the candidate if they have started that 2-3 years prior joining the college. So I luckily was a kind of person, in general, I like being active and participating in a lot of activities and events. So when the time came to it, I did have enough to put on my at least like positions of responsibility or extracurriculars. But if you are generally not a person inclined to all of that, and you just want to study and mind your own thing, then I would suggest if you have the plan of an MBA in mind, keep it in mind and start working in these things accordingly. Like there are certain buckets on your CV, such as academic achievements, competitions, extracurriculars, positions of responsibility. Try and make sure that you are doing little of each of these. So when the time comes to it, you are not. Then what happens is a lot of students, if they have not done anything of that sort, and they come and they realize key placements are in the next 3-4 months, then they are running around the college trying to find opportunities to get CV points. And that doesn't necessarily happen for, I mean, there are opportunities. So college also expects this to happen. So there are a lot of events that the college also has in the first term to make sure everybody gets a chance to get CV points if they do well or if they participate. But of course, that is not ideal for everybody. So
Sure.
I think I would start there. CV prep would be the first thing. And then we had mock GDs that our seniors were conducting for us regularly. Even those who were not a part of the placement process committee, they were also helping us. Otherwise, the placement committee was organizing all these mock GDs for us, mock interviews for us. We have something called Board Infinity, where XLRI connects us with its alums across multiple industries and companies. So where you are mapped, you book a slot there with the alum there. And the alum also takes an interview. So otherwise, the mock GDs and mock interviews we're going through are taken by our seniors ultimately. So for experience from an alum or a working professional, we even have that platform where we have mock interviews that the alums take of us to prepare us for the summer internship process. And Yeah, so about 1 week prior to, we call it day zero, right? The day company comes to campus. So around 1 week prior to day zero, mock GDs start happening, shortlists roll out, then actual GDs happen, all of that. And yeah, so the consult companies, like in most campuses, come a few days before day zero. They don't come before day zero. I mean, they come before day zero, not on day zero. And the rest of the companies start coming on day zero, day one, day two, etc. Most of the time, our placements end by day one end or day two beginning maximum. So yeah, that is the process overall.
So that's the most interesting part for all the students. And I'm sure they will be very keen to know the kind of companies you have witnessed coming up for HR, the job roles they are offering different types, or maybe an average package. How much XLRI student doing HRM from XLRI is getting an average package? What was the lowest or the highest? Maybe an idea about that will help our students for sure.
Sure. So I would say, so see, what you see on the website about the median or etc., that is mostly based off the CTC. So that, I mean, is there for public viewing. But I think amongst the fixed component for an HR student, I think the average fixed would be 20 lakhs per annum. So I think that is the average fixed component. I'm not sure what the lowest is. Highest for an HR student in the HR domain specifically, per month, I guess the highest fixed would be around 2.2 to 2.4 lakhs per month. That would be the highest fixed for an HR student. Yeah, ultimately the maximum, the ones that pay the highest money are either finance roles or consulting roles. Consulting roles, finance roles, obviously only they take people who are in the business management program usually. There are some people in our batch who got the opportunity to intern in a finance role, even though they were from HR, because their background was more financially attuned, like CA, CFA, etc. But mostly they go to the business management batch for finance roles. Consulting, there are equal opportunities. Whether you're an HR student or a business management student, you can still get into consulting. Apart from consulting, the kind of companies that come are FMCGs. Then we have tech companies. Amazon is a mass recruiter in our campus. Um, Automation industry, Bajaj, etc. They're also big recruiters in our campus. All the FMCGs, HUL, Nestle, Reckitt, P&G, all of them. Then what else? We have Disney Star that comes. The strategy company, I mean, the consulting companies are MBB as usual, McKinsey, Bain, BCG. And Accenture Strategy is also a big company that comes on campus. What else? We have TAS that comes on campus. That is something everybody aspires to be a part of, a very good company. Then we have Titan that comes on campus. We have, yeah, I think, yeah, these are the companies, Flipkart, all of the Payphone, Flipkart, Paytm, all of that.
Okay. Okay. Do you also remember any kind of lowest package when you were a student, or maybe do XLRI has any kind of policy for company that this is the minimum package and below this package we will not entertain a company for HR student? What is that, if you are aware?
Yes, yes. So I remember during internships, for summer internship placement, no company that offered a stipend less than 1 lakh was even got to campus. I am aware of that. And during the final placements, I think it's the same thing again. No company that offers less than fixed 1 lakh was offered to come to the. This is, I'm talking about HR. I'm not completely aware about business management, but yeah, this was what it was for HR. So
Sure.
nothing less than 1 lakh fixed is what you can
Okay.
expect.
And is there any policy for students like any other campuses that, if you have got one offer, you cannot sit for other opportunities? Any
Yeah.
such policies for students?
Yeah, I'll just expand on that. So we have categories of companies on campus. There are a diamond cluster, a star cluster, then A, B, C. So some of the consulting companies, the big ones like MBB, come under the diamond cluster. Then all the top FMCGs, good companies like Amazon, Flipkart, I mean, they come in the star cluster. And then the rest of the companies are ranked with category A, B, C. So now let's say you have an offer letter from a company that's in category B. And in the internship, like let's say I've interned in a company that is in category B and they have given me an offer. But then in the placement season, um, when the placement season arrives, you are only allowed to apply for a company that is above your category. You cannot apply for another company that is in the same category as yours or a lesser category. So then in the placement season, let's say BCG ka shortlist comes. I mean BCG's whatever call letter comes, and I want to apply. I'm allowed to apply because currently the offer I have in hand is from a category B company. So I'm definitely allowed to apply for a diamond cluster company. And then if I get into it and the company takes me, then I can let go of my company B offer. But that is not true if a company A offer comes. Company A offer comes also, even then, like I have to hold on to my company B offer. The difference is because it's very minute difference between category A and B. But of course, you're in category B and you get a diamond cluster company, then of course you're allowed to apply for that.
So who decides that? The placement committee or
The
the college
placement
is
committee.
also? Okay, okay.
The
And
placement committee.
and
Everything
in
is
a
done by the students. It's a student-run
okay.
campus.
Have you ever witnessed any conflict over the over this particular concern? Because when a student is selected for B, and if they get something very excited in A, because I have handled campus placements for 21 years, students again turn up that they should be allowed to sit. So were there any kind of such situation, and what happens in that situation if a student don't agree to what the committee is deciding?
So of course that happens every year. So ideally, I would suggest that let's say, see, the students are made aware of these policies in hand. The placement committee at the beginning of every placement season, be it a final placement season or during summer internship, tells us about the committee rules immediately. So ideally, in that moment, during that meeting, we call it GBMs, these meetings. So during the meeting, if you feel like some policy is not really fair or doesn't work for you, then you can always write a detailed email as to what your concern is to the placement committee, and they will take a look at it. What generally happens is in that moment, people don't really, they think, yeah, these are rules, and they don't think of the future scenario. And then what happens is during the placement season, like on day 0 or day 1, when this happens, then they want to reach out to the placement committee. And during that time, I understand it from their point of view also because it's a very stressful time. So in the middle of a placement process, when there are hundreds of companies coming to campus daily, they cannot sit and sort this out. So I would suggest that if at all there's any concern, if you reach out to them well in advance regarding it to clarify your doubts before the placement season arrives, then something can be done about it. But yeah, I have definitely seen cases like this. But then what happens is most of my friends, it depends on how well you know yourself. For example, one friend of mine, he had a category A company offer, and he let go of it during the before the placement season, saying, no, I think I can get one in the star or diamond cluster. And all of us were very scared, saying, don't do that. It's okay. It's category A. But then he was very sure of his abilities, and he was very confident कि नहीं, I will get something better than this. So then he said, and अगर मुझे नहीं मिलता है, तो I will live with it. It's okay. But I know I can do better than this. करके he let it go. So then that also comes to how well you know yourself personally. And he did end up getting one also, touch wood, in a star cluster company after that. So good for
Lucky
him.
guy and the
Yeah, and there are
confident
some
guy, I
people.
should say.
Yeah, exactly. Very, yeah, good for him.
Calculated
And there
risk,
are some people.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about taking calculated risks. Exactly. So that is the other alternative. But otherwise, if you have, so then it all comes to planning for the future and thinking for the future. A lot of people don't imagine that scenario happening to them when the rules are first shown to them. So if you think of it then and at least reach out then maybe something can be done about it.
Oh. By now, Trisha, we are really big fan of your preparation. Whatever you do it with full preparation. What you did finally for your final placement, some important strategy, maybe 3 or 4. And I would also like to know that what all questions you faced, especially during your HR interviews.
Sure. So, see, my placement journey, I'll be specific about. I cannot talk on the behalf of everybody, but so I essentially Nestle also. I interned at Nestle and I got an offer with Nestle. So essentially, Nestle came to our campus about I would say day -3 or -4. That is when the GD happened. So before the Nestle GD, I had only sat for one other GD. That was a Tata 1MG GD. And I had got shortlists by then from several other companies, but their group discussions and interviews hadn't started. They would have started on day 0 or day 1. But Nestle's GD happened on day -3 itself. I had 2 rounds of GD and I qualified. So I didn't have to sit for any of the other, like basically overall, I sat for totally 3 GDs in total and only interviewed with one company. And I interned in Nestle. And after the internship, around August, mid-August, I got to know I got a pre-placement interview from them. And the pre-placement interview took place in the middle of October. And the day after the interview, I think 1 or 2 days after the interview, I was informed that I have converted the PPI into a PPO. That is an offer, and I got in. So I did not have to sit for final placements also, actually. So I've only kind of been with Nestle from the beginning. But yeah, so my the GDs that Nestle had were purely case-based GDs. They give you a case, they have a group discussion around it. There was round one, round two, where they keep eliminating people. And my pre-placement interview was also case-based. They had emailed us a small case about 2 to 3 days before the interview. And so I made a document about how I would solve the case, what angles I would look at it from. And I presented it to them. And apart from the case, they also asked me general questions about why Nestle, why FMCG, uh, based off the internship, what was my experience, all of that. That was basically about it. That was my personal journey. I can but in general, I would say preparation methods that I've seen my peers around me do, or even that I did until my summer internship placements, is that so the college, like I said, there are a lot of placement support committees. So we also get handbooks that are mailed to us, as in an the HR case handbook. It's full of cases of HR management and how we could go about solving them, strategies on how to solve cases. There are multiple case books. Then we also have a compendium that is shared with us. So there are several committees on campus. There is an HR committee, finance committee, various committees on campus, the law IR committee. So these committees take it upon themselves to create these handbooks and share it with the students. So the HR compendium, for example, will have all sorts of important HR terms. It's basically kind of like an encyclopedia for everything HR. They collate that and they give it to you. So daily we would sit and highlight some particular parts, read basic terms and terminology that we should know, how it works in the industry. Those were some preparation methods. Then, yeah, it would just be mock GDs, mock interviews over and over again, from reading these compendiums. And there are certain topics in the class itself that, when it's taught to us, for example, um, especially if you're a fresher, you know that during the summer internship placement, most of the questions are going to be based off of what your syllabus has been until now. And the questions most recruiters like asking when it comes to HR, if it's an FMCG company, please go prepped with your law and IR understanding, because they will ask questions. Most FMCGs do. If not, OB, basically OB law, these two things have to be like thorough if you want to get a core HR placement. And of course, they can always ask other questions from other courses, but yeah, that is about it. And even final placements ke time, similarly, another compendium is released. And we go through our OB1 notes, in fact. We go back to our first year notes and we go through them again. And again, mock interviews, mock GDs back to back. That is about it.
Okay, okay. And is there any limited chances also for a candidate to sit in the interviews if the candidate is not getting through?
No, no limited chance. They will, the placement committee will keep on scheduling interviews for you until you're placed.
Okay,
Nothing
that's a
like
big
that.
support.
Because then if there's a limited chance, then the student won't get placed. And we pride ourselves on 100% placements. तो अगर ऐसे करेंगे तो 100% placement कैसे achieve होगा?
For sure. And I think with the kind of companies and so much support for all the students from day one, I think the process is so robust, preparing them for zero and day one and day two, and things are
Yeah.
sorted. I also
Yeah.
wanted to know that, there is a huge buzz of doing extra certifications. HR, generalist, analytics, maybe something in recruitment, maybe something in L&D. Did you ever thought of doing an additional HR short-term certification, or you did some?
I
What are your thoughts?
I did think of doing one at one point. I have not done anything. But I remember again, it comes down to your CV points. Usually people end up doing it then in the first term when they come to campus and they realize that, they have not necessarily done enough. In general, they don't have anything to. So basically, these certified courses would come under certifications or extracurriculars, those kind of things. So when they come to campus and they realize that, ये नहीं है कुछ भी, मेरा CV खाली, my CV is going to be खाली. So then you do take up a lot of certifications. Apart from that, a lot of people in some cases, even if they have CV points, let's say they have a very, what do I say, a particular niche CV. Like let's say somebody has been in the automation industry for 3 to 4 years before they have come to XLRI. And their CV looks very like, if they've only worked in, let's say, Maruti or Bajaj Auto or Toyota or something like that. and Mahindra, and then they feel like, if the HR person is going to say, but why do you have an interest in HR? Your CV is so clearly automation industry related, and you're an engineer, so why? So then, if you want to show the recruiter that you have interest in HR also, and you have voluntarily taken up, ultimately, these courses are something you do voluntarily, right? They're not a part of any recommended package. So the fact that you have done it voluntarily also holds a lot of good value for the recruiter. I would put it that way. So yeah, definitely helps in that angle. But yeah, I thought of doing it, then I never got around to doing. I actually was a part of a lot of other. So we have committees on campus. I'd got into multiple committees at that point. That workload was building. This workload was building, and I didn't end up doing one. But yeah, I'm sure there are people on campus who have done it, and I'm sure it has helped to make their CV look much better. Another point, I'm sorry, I forgot to explain during the placement prep first. So I would not count this as placement prep exactly, but there are case competitions that happen across campuses, across all B schools, almost all around the year. Case competitions also, a lot of people believe hold a lot of value for the recruiter. If you have won any, like even semi-finalist level, finalist level, winner, whatever it is. Case competitions are also something students try to, most people actually wake up in the second year and try to keep on doing case competitions in the second year. But a lot of my friends also began in the first year, right? From term one, term two, they began to do case competitions to get an idea. And I think that is something I would recommend to a lot of people. Even if you don't win or you don't get a CV point, you're not doing it for placement season, you get an idea of the kind of competition your peers are when you go to these forums and you see people from other colleges, from IIMs, from TIS, from Symbiosis, from wherever, you get to see these people and their, or FMS, you get to see their propositions, and it just opens your mind up to broader thinking. So I think case competitions is something I would recommend.
So, in the continued, episode, I would also request you to share, especially the journey of HR internship role, and
Okay.
especially the job and responsibilities, because the
Sure.
youth need information that when you are getting a job as an HR internship or as an HR intern in such a big organization, what is
Yeah.
expected out of you, what you are supposed to
Okay.
do. I would really request you to shed some light on the job responsibilities, KRAs. But before we move towards the closure of this particular podcast, I would like to request you to share three important tips with which student should sit in the placement, not just with the expectations of the package, because youth has only,
Correct.
many times how much money we are going to get, but it's all about the quality company, the culture, the job role, which will pull you, a way ahead into your career. What are your thoughts as last tips to our students or guidance?
I think one tip would be, especially if, let's say, the placement season is getting hard, or you are not, it's like you're on your, let's say, sixth or seventh interview is, run behind brand versus package. That is something I would really recommend to anybody. A lot of people, like, let's say there are like big brands, let's say A, B, C are household brands that everybody knows, but they're offering packages that are less than what you have in mind. And there is a very, like, there's a startup company. Usually startups offer very good packages. But it's a startup company. I would suggest that, see, in a few years' time, your salary is going to increase. And your brand will remain on the CV forever. And ultimately the truth is the brand is what is on your resume for your life, not your salary. That is not on your CV. So ultimately, I would always recommend to prioritize brand over package. As long as, let's say, you are very sure that you want to do a particular get into a particular stream, such as, like, you want to get into hardcore HR, or if you want to get into marketing or consulting, then go and aim for the best brand of that category. Don't aim for the company that offers the most package in that category, because that is a very short term goal, in my opinion. Yes, for the next 2 3 years, you will be earning more than another person who's not earning that much. But the person who's in a bigger brand, overall career development arc is going to be so much wider for them. Even in their company, if they get bored of a job role, they can move to another job role within the same company, which, if your company is a small company, you're not going to be given that opportunity. So that is number one, brand over package, I would always suggest. Number two would probably be to also look at what is in it for you. Apart from money, I mean, like, there are some, like, you get so blinded. I mean, I've also been there, but you get so blinded by, like, this is a dream company. You've heard so much about it and you keep saying, ki, is company mein jana hai. But is the company offering you something that, like, if you have a certain goal, like system of values, or goals or culture that you have in mind, is that company able to offer that to you? So ultimately, the company also wants you, right? It's a two-way negotiation that's happening. So
True.
always look for what you are also able to learn or what you also want, not just what the company wants. Don't try to mold yourself or be the person the company wants. Be like, obviously do that to some extent, but not entirely such that you compromise on what you want for the sake of getting that job. Ultimately, the company should also be suited for you. It's like you're entering a family, right? You also want to make sure that that family is suited to you, your beliefs. I
True.
would say that would be second. The third would just be so I don't know, keep in mind that it's not the end of the world. Like wherever, like a lot of students, like they say, कि, मुझे FMCG में ही जाना है, मुझे consult में ही जाना है. If you get placed into another company, that does not define the rest of your future or the rest of your life. If you, by chance, let's say you wanted to get into an FMCG company, but you got into an automation company, you can always switch after 2 3 years. It's not like your CV is not carved in stone. That is something I would like everybody to keep in mind. It
Sure.
is, nothing is permanent. You can always move. Ultimately, the what XLRI gives you is a dashboard or a springboard to jump off of for the rest of your life. So that's all.
Sure, sure. What are great tips. You should always prefer brand over money. And second, you need to look at how your career objective is getting aligned with the role the company is offering. And third, even if you get it or not, it's not the end of the world. Trisha, we are so thankful for sharing all your placement insights so much in detail, the internship part, the placement part. And we are very curious to, listen to you more in detail about the HR intern role you're doing, not only for a company for which you are working, but what should be expected out from the role, what are your key result areas, and what responsibilities you are supposed to do or perform while you're working as an HR intern in a big organization the way you are doing. Thank you so much for being with us on this podcast series. Looking forward to your next episode very, very soon. Stay tuned.
Okay,
All the
thank
best. Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye bye.